So NFTs or non-fungible token is what everyone is talking about right now. And if you've recently come across this digital art NFT by an artist called Beeple that was sold for $69 million, and if you're wondering what exactly an NFT is, then let's get into this. So in this video, we'll try to understand how NFTs work and what NFTs actually are, and if you're an artist or a creator, how it can benefit you. And finally, we'll look at how NFTs can be bought and should we even go about buying NFTs. Let's start by defining what an NFT is, and then we'll break it down piece by piece. So NFT is a digital asset that is indivisible and probably unique. So let's break that down a bit. So digital asset means they're digital collectibles like music, art, or in-game token, if you will. And there are many other tokens like security token, privacy token, there's cryptocurrencies, and non-fungible tokens just adds to that list of different tokens in the world of crypto. Now there's probably unique in that definition as well. So probably means this NFT contains information that is relevant only to that NFT. And this information can be like owner's information or some secure files or any other metadata that goes along with this NFT. And this really makes an NFT completely unique, or there cannot be any NFTs that can be replaced by another NFT. A contrasting example to this is if you take an example of a banknote. So if I have a $1 bill and if you have a $1 bill, I can exchange my $1 bill and with your $1 bill and they would still be the same. But NFTs are completely unique. So if I have one NFT, that is not the same as you having another NFT. So that definition also had the term indivisible in it. Now let's differentiate fungible versus non-fungible based on that term called indivisible. So an example of a fungible token would be 1 Bitcoin. If I send 1 Bitcoin, you can send that Bitcoin to someone else and I can receive that Bitcoin. And also this Bitcoin can be split into smaller parts. So you can send someone a part of a Bitcoin called Satoshi. A Satoshi is nothing but 100 million Satoshi makes up 1 Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is very divisible into smaller parts, and that is why it is called as a fungible token. Now on the other hand, non-fungible token are not divisible into smaller parts. An example would be if you were to have one ticket for an event or a concert or a game, then that one ticket as a whole has value. But if you were to split that ticket into 10 small parts and then sell it off to 10 different people, then that part of ticket does not have value because they are not used as a whole ticket. So similar concept in NFTs. So NFTs can only be owned by one person at a time. This concept of indivisibility is what is core to fungible versus non-fungible token. So to clearly simplify everything here, so whenever you come across a fungible in your readings or in some other video, just remember that fungible means it can be split into smaller parts, and non-fungible is just something that cannot be split into smaller parts. And apart from that, NFTs also enjoy other features of a smart contract, such as proof of ownership, because it has built-in authentication, which means this NFT has information about the owner, has metadata or any other information relating to the digital asset being purchased. Now at this point, you might be really curious to know how NFTs actually work. Now there are various blockchains who have their own NFT standards. An example is Ethereum's ERC721, which is a non-fungible standard, and also there are other blockchains like Neo, EOS, and Tron who have their own NFT standards. Now that was a lot of jargon there. So to help conceptualize, I think it really helps me to think of all this as just separate websites where a user can go and buy and sell goods like Amazon or eBay or Etsy. NFTs are created and minted from digital assets like art, music, gifts, videos, and sports highlights, designer sneakers, and much more. And if you're trying to understand NFTs from a point of view of an artist or a creator, then stay until the next section where we'll discuss all those things. Now in a physical world, a collector might go and buy an old painting and receive that delivery. Whereas in the world of NFTs, because they're all digital, the buyer just gets a digital file. And because of some of the features that we spoke about, like NFTs having ownership information and other rich metadata that will be stored on the blockchain, it is very easy to verify the ownership of an NFT and also transfer NFTs to other buyers. But we always have to keep in mind that an NFT at one time can only have one owner. So that was quite a bit, but I would like to split this concept into even smaller understandable chunk. So let's look at what NFTs are used for. So NFTs allows creators, content creators, artists to uniquely monetize their creation. So as an example, artists may have to go via galleries or auction houses to sell their artwork, but with NFTs they can instead directly sell their creations directly to consumers. And apart from selling, they can also include royalties that can be programmed into NFTs. So whenever their work gets resold to another buyer, the original artist actually receives some of those royalties. Now sometimes this can be difficult or even non-existent in the real world, and that is why NFTs are so powerful for artists and creators. So let's say you understand what NFTs are, at least from a very high level, and now you're looking to buy an NFT. So how do you go about buying? Well, first of all, you would need to get a digital wallet that can store NFTs and cryptocurrencies. And next, you need to purchase some cryptocurrencies that the NFT provider accepts. So there are various places like Coinbase, Kraken, eToro, Robinhood, where you can buy cryptocurrencies. And then finally, you can go and shop and buy NFTs on various marketplaces like OpenSea.io, Rarible, Foundation, and many other places. But one important thing is to actually do your own research, because many platforms don't require ownership verification for NFT listings. Now, before we go into the next section where we look at should you even buy an NFT, let's look at some of very high priced NFT deals that were done very recently. So there is this animated flying cat with pop-tart body that was sold for almost $600,000. And then there's also another recently sold token that includes a clip of LeBron James blocking a shot in Lakers basketball game that went for $100,000 in January this year. Finally, should we even consider buying NFTs? Well, there are many who think of NFTs as just another bubble, or similar to a dot-com bubble, think that it is just going to blow up in our faces in the near future. But there are many others who also think that NFTs are here to stay for a very long time. Now, I personally am on the fence right now, because from a technology point of view, I really love NFTs and what it is doing for creators and artists and how it allows for easy transactions and so on. But on the other hand, I'm also aware of the environmental impact of running a blockchain and mining and so on. So at the moment, I'm still on the fence. Also, you have to remember, when you buy an NFT and when you get to a stage where you want to sell an NFT, then the value that you get or the price that you get from that sale is very dependent on the value that the buyer puts on it. So you cannot really anticipate the returns on an NFT that you might buy right now. Also, NFTs might be subject to capital taxes. I'm hoping that you've learned something about NFTs from this video, and if you did, like this video. And on this channel, I usually want to make videos on understanding the world around us and how they operate. So if that is something of interest to you, then subscribe to this channel and watch out for the next video.